Dear Venerable Sisters and Brothers, Dhamma friends, today also we are going to start the day's Dhamma talk. May everyone give the consent with 3 times, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse Bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Yata bhuta jnana dassane asati yata bhuta jnana dassana vipannasse hatupaniso hoti nibbida viragoti ti. Dear Venerable Sisters and Brothers, Dhamma friends, we are going to take one more step along this particular discourse known as Satisampajanna Sutta, or discourse on mindfulness. And now we are going to see the relationship between the knowledge and vision on things as they are, as a one aspect, and the other side, the discernment and the disenchantment and dispassion. So they are interrelated. But here it shows one-way relationship. If you do not have any correct view as to say, see things as they are, the knowledge and vision towards the things as they are. And whenever that is there, the proximate cause is available for someone to have disenchantment and the dispassion. If you do not have correct view, specifically speaking, the knowledge and the vision towards the things as they are, instead of the disenchantment or dispassion, the passion or desire can arise. Or the base or proximate factor, proximate causes for disenchantment and the dispassion is not available. So this is a kind of a advanced state in meditation. So for that there are a lot of ways and means through which the Buddha explained how the commoner's mind develop up to that level, and specifically the relationship between things as they are, the knowledge and the vision on things as they are, and the disenchantment and the dispassion. Without any kind of that proper vision of things as they are, the discernment and dispassion can happen with hatred. It is very common among people, and so ultimately they become social negative towards the society. Because they often develop disenchantment and the dispassion, but hate-based, so therefore they used to take weapons. They used to hate others. They used to argue with others because of the hatred or hate-based disenchantment and the dispassion. So when and where someone is going with mindfulness and clear comprehension, he or she may develop moral shame and the moral fear, or moral shame and the moral dread. And that is how someone be sensitive as to whether I am developing that knowledge and vision without hatred, or in a knowledgeable base. When someone is furthering with the mindfulness of the clear comprehension, backed with moral shame and the moral fear, he or she work towards the restraint of sense faculties, and that is how internal changes in your likings and disliking, your personality can happen. So they take a lot of time with the background and with the help of the moral shame and the moral fear. When you are working with people and when you are working with things, slowly, it must work towards the restraint of sense faculties. It may be on the other way around also. So, to make it towards a progressive side, healthy side, and advancing side, you must facilitate it. From the moral shame and the moral fear, you must look forward to have restraint of faculties. For example, when you are meditating, sitting, or in walking meditation, when and where you discern your primary object, and when and where you discern the chronological changes in your primary object, and when and where you become confident that I can keep the primary object face to face for a longer time, then you know now your background knowledge or your capacity is well enough to work towards the restraint of sense faculties. That means I often take the example of walking meditation where your eyes are open and you have, if you are walking in an outdoor walking place, sounds are there, maybe smells and other kind of touches, and your thinking. So while you keep the track with your primary object, so to say, the left leg, right leg, left leg, right leg, either you can keep one moment at a time, or you can see how the weight shifting from the left to the right, how the weight shifting from the heel to toes. So this is how your meditation, your mindfulness become diversified, and you start to taste the sap of the Dhamma, the juice of the Dhamma, the tasty part of the Dhamma. Many facets you can see in walking. And one thing is more qualitative, more detailed, and the other thing is more quantitative. You can step number of steps, or maybe 30-40 steps, or 2-3 paces up and down. So you develop kind of a confidence. Really, I can maintain the integrity just like you are learning how to ride a push bike. Now you know you can maintain the balance, and there won't be any support from external people, and you know the speed, and when it is happening, occasionally you can handle the bike with single-handed. Not both the hands in your hand, the bicycle hand, and you feel like you can handle it with single hand. Likewise, when you are walking, you can see not that only the left leg and right leg is happening, while you are walking, seeing also happening. Sometimes you may see your walking path, and you may see some unimportant visual objects in the walking path. And at a time you feel like raise your head and look up and down and see other moving objects. And there you can see, as far as you are utterly imbibed, utterly focused with left and right, this secondary thing become null and void. But when and where you become familiarized with the primary object, so to say, and develop the confidence, mind take a risky jump, meanwhile to see what happens to the visual object, what happens to the objects come and impinge into the eye. Later you will understand, as you keep on, seeing also happens, and birds are chirping, hearing also happens, and other parts of the body also occasionally gives some signals, and meanwhile thinking also happens. So many people, many yogis, if they do not know what is happening and how is the chronological thing, chronological development, I call here development, and they will report, earlier I used to have only the left leg and the right leg, but now I am walking, sometimes seeing objects are disturbing me, hearing objects are disturbing me, and other touches, other daydreaming, fantasizing happening. So they they do not know proper language to explain it, but some or the other, just like a baby, learning how to speak, or elderly person, learn the second language, sometimes they report it. And they ask how to manage now. And when and where you seeing, while walking, should you note that? Or where should you keep the attention? While walking, if hearing or sounds going to happen, how can I manage? While walking, keeping the track with the left and the right, the hands are moving and other bodily sensations are happening, and sometimes background thoughts and inner thoughts are happening. How to deal it with? So safely you can say, as far as you have your primary object at your eye shot, don't worry, don't go into look at them, don't worry about them, just keep the attention as much as possible with the primary object. So they are, according to the other evidence, other clues in the Sutta Pitaka, it says, Chakkuna Rupan Diswa, na nimittak gāyi hoti, na vyanjanak gāyi hoti, yattva adhikarna metang asangutam viharantang uppajjati papaka akusala dhamma, tassa sangvaraya apajjati. He knows, I can keep the track with left leg and right leg, but some attractive visual object happens or distracting kind of visual object happens. If you go into look at that and see the details, see the shape, the color and everything of the visual object, you are facilitating wandering mind and you ill-treat your primary object. So there you have to understand, there may be visual object, but don't specialize. Don't go look into details. In Pali it says, nimittak gāyoti nānubhyanjanak gāyoti. No, don't worry about that. Don't see it is auspicious or bad, good or bad. Don't look at it, it's a beautiful or ugly. Just see, there's some impingement is there, how much you can keep the track with primary object. Or there may be sounds, and the mind is about to jump. And if you are going to see whether it's a male sound or female sound or arriving sound or disappearing sound, whatever may be, whenever you analyze it, you are sacrificing your primary object and mind will take upper hand to jump out for sounds. So here you can see there's a kind of a discipline, there's a kind of a theoretical knowledge, there's a kind of a deductive knowledge. You have your will. If you are well instructed, if you are aware of what to do, basically you try as much as possible with your primary object because it is assured with least amount of defilements. Whenever it is going for secondary objects, there are gate crashes, they are accidentally happening without your will. Whenever they go there, more likings and disliking can happen, more fantasizing can happen, more daydreaming, more thinking, more storytelling, more fabrication can happen. So when under such circumstances, yogi must know, when you are driving a car, you go to the olden days, it's a horse cart, and if something goes wrong, you must know how to put brakes without toppling the vehicle or falling into the downhill. Hold the cart or the vehicle safely, knowing there are some additional pulls and push. So when that happens, this is more practical and pragmatic in walking meditation than in sitting. Not that in the sitting you have challenges and dangers of external objects, but you keep the eyes closed and you go to a silent place and you are not moving your bodies, so therefore less and less challenges. But not that it is without challenges. But in walking meditation, lot of challenges. So therefore, if you are a vipassana inclined yogi, you find this as a adventurous thing or challenge or like a hobby. Let the mind to have so much of array of external objects, how far you can keep the track with your primary object. So it is like tightrope walking. Or imagine you are walking on a railway line, walking on a single rail, and how to maintain the balance without falling into the either side, because visual objects are happening, hearing, sounds, smelling, other tastes, other touches then can happen. You walk. So in our Satipasala, we put a rope from here to the other side and ask children, walk on the rope and get the touch of the rope with each and every leg. Usually we are walking in a wider space. When you are walking on a rope, it is just on the ground. And they can walk. Of course, your eye is not looking at your leg. You are looking 2 meters ahead. Easily they can understand the challenge. And while it is happening, now we ask them to close your eyes and get the touch. It's a little bit adventurous. They are happy. They can walk to the other end. Occasionally they fall apart, slip the rope, but again they can come. Now we ask them to come backward with closed eyes. And they are so happy, they can come take one step after the one step on the rope, and that is how we train them. The body has its own body knowledge. That is not by seeing, but by touching. Touch of the leg, touch of the rope. Then you know going backward like. So this is how we impose somewhat challenging, somewhat dramatic, somewhat threatening kind of a situation. How you navigate mindfulness. More you met up with challenges, more you learn your ways and means, because our mind is full of ways and means. Unless otherwise you met up with an accident, you never employ them, you never make use them. And you think it is a impediment for your development or unwanted, unexpected distractions. So therefore they consider that kind of challenges as a bad karmic force or your bad luck. But if you are with the radical reflection, you can go. And while it is happening, you restrain your faculties. The touch is the main thing. Yeah, we can say the touch, consciousness on the touch. That is kaya viññāna in Pali. You are using kaya viññāna, no, don't allow the viññāna or the consciousness to jump from the kaya viññāna to chakku viññāna or to the eye consciousness or to the ear consciousness or to the nose and the tongue and the body. Keep in the track with the kaya viññāna. Moment the viññāna jump into the eye, so to say, you are losing the track with the touch of the ground. Because viññāna can take one thing at a time. When it's jumping, you know you are wavering and you can't maintain the balance, and you are looking instead of walking, and you can feel it. So there, the viññāna take one thing at a time, becoming very prominent for the yogi, and still it says, okay, go on to the eye consciousness and contact with the visual object, and again you can easily come back to the body consciousness. When it is coming back, often our mind regret. My mind was with the body contact and it's without prior notice, it jump into the visual and eye contact, and even though you bring it back to the body contact, there's a kind of a hate, kind of a unsatisfactoriness, kind of a regret. So that is what blocking your understanding. So Venerable Sariputta is telling, even such a slips happens, even such a non-unmindfulness situation happen, main thing is not to worry, just see how quickly you can come back and reinstall your mindfulness on the leg, mindfulness on the kaya vijnana. And if you are not worrying and disturbing, easily you can come and you can verify. Before going into the eye consciousness, mind was with body consciousness. After going to the eye consciousness, again it come back to the body consciousness. And now you can make a statement, I was mindful on my leg, and all of a sudden it jumped into my seeing consciousness, eye consciousness, and again I managed to come back to the body consciousness at the leg. And when I come back, how safely you can land, how safely you can reinstall in the leg or the body contact, indicate how efficient you are in restraint of sense faculties. Not that mind is not jumping to the unwanted things, unexpected thing, gate crashes, but how quickly you can bring it back. That is the definition of what you call resilience, and going away, never mind, how quickly you can safely land back in your primary object. More and more you get your clarity, get your correct instructions, more you practice, you see, going out is a kind of an intrinsic character of the mind. Main thing is not to worry, but you have appointed primary object, you have past memories and the past mistakes, so how quickly you can come back, or you can be back at your assembly ground, or your pivotal point, or your benchmark, or your primary object, and you see on the way back there is no hindrance and such, otherwise you are worrying. Otherwise you are negation, self-negation, or finding fault with oneself. More and more you go, this negative part, hatred part reduces, then it becomes a knowledge. You know, outside object can distract you, but it can't make a permanent damage. You have utter ability to come back to your primary object, it makes so much of a release. But to have it, you must have 1,001 time of mistakes and self-sympathy. I am in an experiment, never mind it, jump, again I come back. Again, jump, again come back. So if a young mother going to have a baby, and you know they are very, very naughty. They're jumping here and there, but the mother never get angry with the child. Again bring back in, keep it in the safe land. Again it is jumping, again bring back in the safety land. That is how we each of us bought. You utterly naughty fellows at a young age. I am for sure. I was. But my mother, she gave the highest love to me because she knows I am such a naughty fellow. Never keep in the safe land, always jumping. That's why I can talk with you in a big audience now. I am full-fledged. I know this is the mind, this is the boy. And it's so naughty, mind also the same. So this is the first point, you develop self-sympathy. Otherwise you are self-negating and finding the self-accusation, that is your whole life is full of hatred. Under such circumstances, you can't sympathize other people. Because you can't sympathize yourself. So it is highly related whenever you have what you call restraint in your sense faculties, you understand each and everyone in the same boat. Each and everyone is the same. So I am doing my experiment for the sake of humanity, not for my personal kind of thing. So it is widening, and then you understand, if you have that kind of a deep understanding, you can make an assurance, I can live my life without killing animal. I may try to live without misappropriation of others' properties. I may try not to give in to sexual misconduct or any other misconduct, and lying, slandering, harsh words and tale carrying, because you now see the process we call thin slicing of time. These things are not happening abruptly. They are process. They are sequential. So it happens with due early signs. So what happens is, slowly you understand your mind whenever about to jump from the safe land to the liking and disliking, dramatic and colorful, eventful thing. There are some kind of early signs. So to go very deep into that, whenever you give an array of choice, seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, and lot of seeing objects, lot of hearing objects and kind of thing, which one you are going to select next, you have no right, you have no control. But your character type, your personality type is predestined. So after keeping the mind in the primary object and assign the safe land, you must let mind to send kites, jump here and there. Not that you are doing, it is happening. When it is happening, if you are sharp enough, you can see whenever seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, primary object or thinking happen, my mind has its own character, it's jumping always for daydreaming, fantasizing, thinking, past and future. Or other person may say, I am not much worried about thinking, my mind is always jumping to pain, bodily pain, specifically painful feelings. Or some other may say, sounds and the thoughts and pains, no problem, but the sound distraction. So likewise, when we are sitting in the same hall, we all are not distracted by equal distractions. All the distractions are all time there. You select your distraction. But you utterly fail to report it because you hate it. You think we must stop it. The meditation hall must be designed in such a way to have soundproof. And there should not have any pain. There may be some good first aid box so that I can have a lot of balms and kind of thing. Or daydreaming, fantasizing, they think they will make an excuse. I will meditate whenever I stop my daydreaming, fantasizing. Now mind is thinking, so I am not qualified to meditate. So instead of making cock and bull stories, you never directly observing and writing, often my mind is thinking rather than pain and sounds. Oh, my character is more to the pain than thinking and sounds, like the character type, the personality traits, your liking and disliking, highly ingrained, highly premeditated, highly predestined. Except the Buddha, no one can read when and where it clicks. Only you can read. So that is the where you have highest compassion about yourself. You are concerned about your well-being because you give the safe land and let mind to jump. Wherever it is jumping, it's an indication. So therefore, if you are very carefully making a journal, often you can understand even without going to interviews, this is the way it happened. But it's very, very rare. You must have such a quick wit to understand or judge yourself, who am I or what am I. So often we use a teacher, often we use a senior meditators and go and report this is what it happens. But whenever you are writing with negative terms. You are writing with hate base because you have not come up to the proper concentration. Whenever the proper concentration going to happen, you see, you have a reason to be concentrated and collected and calm in the primary object. It is jumping, and even if it is jumping, you can bring it back. When such a thing, when such a training happen, you understand the going or jumping or daydreaming or fantasizing event has three modes. Early part is jumping out. The second part is understanding my mind is not in the primary object or mindfulness. And the third part is you are recovering, come back to the primary object. So if you are untrained, uninstructed, your main thing is observing the jumping mind and worrying. Fail to understand even the mind jump, and even if it is eccentric, even if it is in the dangerous place, even under such red-hot situation, you can understand, I am not mindful, I am not in my safe land, I am out of my security. That is the most dramatic, that's the most advantageous or advanced kind of mindfulness. You know unmindfulness. Mindfulness leads to unmindfulness. So whenever you become eccentric, there's a sixth sense telling something wrong, darling, somewhere. And if the day you understand it, you see that's the most proximate cause for you to come back to the primary object. So this is the third aspect or the end of that phenomena way back home. So that's the most important, it's the most conclusive, and it's the most mature part of your interview report, writing how did you come from absent-minded or unmindfulness situation to mindfulness situation. Distraction to your primary object. And the Buddha says, whenever you are experiencing it, whenever you are explaining it, that is what you call Nirodha Satcha. That is, you are no more in danger. You come from the danger to safe land. That's called oasis. That's called area without much defilements. And area without much of tension and frustration. So now they are very closely working. All of a sudden mind becomes tense and frustrated and unsafe land. And still you know. And whenever it happens, it is natural for such a mind to come back to the safety heaven, and you find it is not your meditation, it's a birthright of a human mind. Only thing is you have to, on the spot you have to recognize it. And that part you can't share with your dear and near one. You can't take it from someone. You have to practice, you have to do trial and error, and you have to be very patient. And one day, even the mind is jump out of the safety area, even if you catch hold, that kind of a mind with red-handed, you find you are not worrying now. You are very happy to catch a fellow red-handed, and safely mind will come back and land in the safe land. There you find, due to your restraint of your sense faculties, and due to your preparedness, and due to your unworrying, main thing is not to worry kind of a attitude, you find your safe land is always invite you. You can come back, and now you feel like playing a risky game. You feel like letting mind to play hell, send kites, never mind. And your range is slowly increasing. Earlier it happened as mishaps and tiny little off the road, and now it is you can range, and not that limited to walking meditation. Imagine when you are washing your dishes and you go with your pre-planned mindfulness just to keep your hand with the washing dishes, and then all of a sudden you start daydreaming. And while you are standing and you are working, you understand eccentric mind, no more mindful, and you start laughing. You see, you track the mind, and again you come back. and thinking, oh, lucky enough, now again coming back to the dish washing. But no soon mind is jumping. And again it is happening. Earlier it is a reason to be regret, reason to be tension and frustration. Now you say, how can I predict? It is such an electric thing, jumping. So how can I ask other person to be disciplined? How can I ask other person to use SMS slowly, mindfully, silently, because you know what is happening with you. So that understanding is making the sympathy to other people also, and there you learn it, the deep mental principles without it. Because you are see the third part, the last lap of your wandering mind. That is, after wandering, coming back. That is we call way back home. So the day you start way back home, there should have a deep kind of a concentration. Of course, it is not with single object and long time concentration. That is called momentary concentration. Now you know you are in the washing dishes, and now immediately you know I am no more with washing dishes, and I am not worried. And again you come back to the washing dishes, and you find there is a consistency. There is a sustainability, not only mindfulness, even the concentration. That concentration we call vipassana concentration. Not single object, single posture, and close your eyes and sitting and cross-legged. No. Now you are driving, or maybe brushing your teeth, or washing your dishes, and occasionally you can have one or two thought moments of mindfulness. Otherwise you never consider these, they are within the area of meditation. Now these things are become slowly into meditation, and there you learn the art, even though mind is wandering, even though it is eccentric, don't take interest about your distracting object. If you are going to entertain it, if you are going to storytelling, if you are going to worry, that is the first and foremost cause to start defilements. Without entertaining, without storytelling, without giving specific characteristics, just understanding and coming back to a primary object and give additional attention to the primary object, go deep into the primary object with its own characteristics and detail, you know how to give priority. And there, whenever it is happening, you find now your mind is not so dramatic. Mind is becoming appear like very lethargic. It is not much driven by motivation because of your self-restraint, because of your restraint of your sense faculties, because you are reducing the dramatic events and appreciating neutral events and safe events and at-home events, and imagine the day that become your second nature, that become your at-home situation, not to yield into go for dramatic thing, colorful thing, and with big likings and disliking. Instead, training mind to the at-home situation, neutral, that is called you are using Yathabhuta Jnana Dassana. Not that you are not going to the dangerous areas. Soon you go there, you find the liking and disliking is the indicator. It is dramatizing you. It is titillating you. It is hilarious. Even though it is such a distraction, your safe land, your primary object, neutral object is always waiting. So you have a choice. And whenever you give the preference to your already established primary object, then easily you can come back, and there you must not have your primary object. No, there you must not only should know the primary object on sitting and walking, each and every work you are doing, if the mind is wandering, where to bring back and establish, anchor your mind, you must know. If it is not sure, please discuss. Please ask questions. Because it is, you can't decide whenever you are in trouble. It must be destined before you go into trouble. Just like at the beginning of the retreat, we have to tell, this is the safe land, this is the assembly ground. If unlikely situation happen, don't worry about anything, just go to that assembly ground. So likewise, just you must understand your pivotal point, your safe haven, and you are born with. And that is not only limited to Buddhists. Any person can train, and there may be a lot of outbound training people training this kind of thing. But these all training are not leading to Nibbana. But here the difference is your anchor is your body. Always your body posture is the anchor. So therefore you feel what a blessing to be a human. And what a blessing to have early parts of your moral shame and the moral fear and the restraint of your sense faculties, and to have this moral behavior and have certain of this concentration, even the object changes, even the posture changes, how to maintain the balance. These are the early prerequisites, or to say proximate factors, for you to maintain the integrity of the concentration and the mindfulness. Even the changes happen. So when it happens, it's kind of I would add one more sentence. Whenever you come back after the distraction, you must verify, am I back in my posture? In the walking, you may exemplify telling, I feel the touch of the ground with my heel, the toes and the arch. Or in the sitting, you may say, I came back, I feel the in-breath and out-breath. Or when you are in the washing dishes side situation, you can say, I can feel my dish, I can feel the water, I can feel the hand. So likewise, your report is down to earth. It is not a fabrication. It is not a storytelling. It is not a papancha. So, Yathabhuta Jnana Dassana is just we say, under your very nose. Any person writing that pragmatic thing, other listener can understand it is not a fabrication. The listener must not be a Buddhist. Even a young child can understand. So when parents are fighting at home, young children, they are very alert. The parents are using the decent words, but with utter boiling hate. Children can understand. And they develop kind of a uncomfortable situation. And parents think, no, they don't understand. So I will give you just story. The one person came with Italy, Sri Lankan, and he was living a very dramatic life, but he was happy to be in the monastery. So ultimately when we are talking, he told, Bante, I don't know how to explain it. My grandma is a Sunday school teacher. I'm so happy to go and teach in Sunday school, and he knows she's having a hearing difficulties. And he told grandma, you are doing a crime. Don't go to children with this deaf eye. How can you teach them? You are a bad teacher, out of compassion. But she says, you know, you are a fool. Young children do not know that I can't hear. They are so sharp, the grandma is too old to understand that. So therefore, whenever we behave, the other person, by our behavior, our words, our report, the other person can understand whether you are fabricating or dreaming, or you are theorizing, or you are with deductive knowledge, or with inferential knowledge, or theory knowledge, or it is with direct touch. So I give my highest respect to Pandita Sayadaw. He is the person I saw only the most practical, pragmatic person. You can't play with him. Whenever you are reading the report, he understands immediately one sentence time. Please stop, that's all. You go and practice, will you? Don't learn about how to write good reports. Because he knows. So this is the way Yathabhuta Jnana Dassana, whenever it is happening, it is leading to disenchantment, because something engaged with dramatic and colorful thing, you know you are unmindful. Whenever you are at home, Whenever you are with your primary object, it is not so titillating, it is not so colorful, it's sometimes boring. Always to with your the body posture, we don't like. Instead, we happy to go to the supermarket, go to the carnival, go to the picnic and kind of thing. Each and every time you are giving more chances for the mind to play hell. Because you don't like, here now I am, thought moment. Not that I am against trips, I am also going once in a way. And when you are going, you understand how much you are avoiding the chances to be here and now. Or, I will put it this way, even if you are in a picnic, you can still be with your body, be with your posture. So, more and more to learn to be with the posture, you understand people are running in this sansaric perpetuation because they hate their body, they love the better half. Males are happy with the better half. And the females are the same. So they have a mutual love to the opposite sex. And this is a primary, most prominent, very obvious reason, because it is never you get exhausted, always you are happy with that. So instead, when you go to the forest and sit under a tree and come up here, you appreciate Sukho Buddhanang Upado, what a blessing to be in the dispensation of the Buddha. It's a very, very rare thing. Dullabho Buddhupado Lokasmi. Dullabho Manusattapatilabho. Under the light of the dispensation of Buddha, you must be a human, otherwise you can't practice this. You have to be a human. The third thing is, Dullabha Akhana Sampatti, the here and now thought moment is the third rare thing, and how freely we are losing it and going to see things and hear things and all the kind of thing, or extrovert, instead when and where you come to your body or your bodily posture or here and now, the basic feature is disenchantment and dispassion, but slowly you will see your hatred to that is now no more. You understand this as a pure land, this is the safe heaven, so you learn the evolution of your mind, evolution of your likings and disliking, evolution of your personality traits, evolution of your interact with other people, evolution in your interact with other things, and you know that is assured we are born with this safe heaven. But more and more you grow, we are always expect the happiness outside in luxurious things. Sukha, upa, bhoga. So think we are happy because if I have so much of visual objects, so much of hearing objects, so much of smells, taste and touch and thinking. So this is the way whole country is designed. Whole civilization, whole happiness, everything is designed to bring people more extrovert. And that is how what we call political agendas, political constitutions, economic and social. So while we are organizing our monastery like this, at that time we had 35, we had the chance to, opportunity and capacity to have 35 yogis. Sometimes we go 36, 37. And we are about to take into the 60 and later ultimately came up to 100. And while it is happening, some men told, Bhante, we are running into trouble. It is like a volcanic. When the number increases, situation will be deteriorating the health, the silence and the quality. So therefore we'll go to the Standard Bureau and ask their advice. It was a joke for me. It was a joke. But anyway, we got an appointment and went there. You won't believe, the highest, the officer gave 40 minutes. We explained, we are just a traditional meditation center and we are going to give this kind of SMS slowly, mindfully, silently place, and people come and offer dana, donation, and some people are sitting, and these are the standard we have. How can we maintain the health and the silence in a sustainable way? He gave a very, very friendly kind of advice and appointed one of his best colleague, and while he was giving the advices, he referred to some books. They know what kind of book you are taking as your guideline. It was 1996 Standards of USA. Oh, very nice. So we also can read it. I asked, is there any mention of Nibbana in this book? He is laughing. Then where are you leading us? Go to America? American standard? Never mention about where these standards are leading. We are leading to the political stability, economical standards, and social. So the Buddha having overall understanding. So therefore he says, when you are keep on practicing as a team or as an individual, the distractions and the challenges are happening, each and everything is calculated. You have to have vigilance. And where you keep on practicing, you may see earlier you have hatred to the external object. So therefore whenever mind goes out of mindfulness, you feel unhappy, regret and tension. Now exactly the same thing happened, no hate. You just see this is the nature of the mind. And the additional benefit you get it is, you understand this is exactly the situation of meditators as well as non-meditators. So you develop kind of a sympathy to human beings. How long, what a long process you have to undergo, and still same thing happen without hatred. So that is the point where otherwise it is a psychological depression or tension or frustration. But now it is there if the egotistic idea is very solid and very established. But when and where you practice each and every unmindful situation, you see the last lap where it come back to the mindfulness, and you find no tension, no frustration. There you find it is a cause and effect relationship rather than my doing. Earlier, when and where you are maximizing your primary object, it is my. It is the yogi's duty to keep it with the primary object. And after a while, at the restraint of your sense faculties, it takes its own momentum, its own governing situation. You see cause and effect. If the mind goes out, it comes back. That is what Venerable Kondanya, listening to the first sermon, he told, Yang kinchi samudaya dhamma sabbanta nirodha dhamma. If anything arises in Bhante, that it has its own cessation. Wandering mind also have the cessation. In between, if you are not developing, be regret, be self-negating, be frustrated, because you have faith, you have mindfulness, you have your precepts. By going from safe land to the unmindful situation, precepts are undisturbed. That is not the precepts. Precepts will be broken whenever you transgress something. This is not transgression. You understand what is happening in the under the carpet, the circuit. So this is the highest, or would say more sophisticated thing you can do under your very nose, and that is also happening whenever you do mistakes. Not in correction. When and where you are in the mindfulness, there is no such a dramatic discoveries can happen. The mind is jumping. Each time you consider, it has a new chance to see how the mind is working. And there you will understand, it is inbuilt, the unmindful mind to come back and be mindful. It is none of your business. You are just an observer. It is inbuilt. Only you can distract or disturb it by getting regret. Pamade na kampatiti satibalang. Venerable Sariputta is telling, even such a slips happen, main thing is not to worry. Just let the mind to recover, it is recovering. That is what the Buddha explained in the quail. We are in the court with the bird catcher. It says it is none of mistake, it is my mistake, because I have no restraint of faculties. The second chance the eagle gives, it knows when and where someone is under the danger, the vigilance, the diligence, the preparedness is our security. So this is what we are developing. This is the thing we can't share. This is the thing we can't rob. And this is the thing the Buddha says, I am not a savior. I can teach you, but you have to do it in a trial and error basis, but not in the dangerous situation. When it is happening beforehand, you have to do rehearsal. So that rehearsing situation is not a misfortune. Everyone is getting. So you must not be skillful in each and every mistake. Don't worry. Even one issue, whenever mind goes off, without worrying, just see how easily it can come back. So whenever mind goes out and coming back, in the book, Richard Davidson talking about the emotional life of your brain, they detected 2 stages. They have designed an experiment putting 2 groups, meditators and non-meditators, and put into functional MRI scan and ask them to listen, see a visual thing and keep the attention with seeing. And it is being programmed in the control room. While they are seeing at the screen inside the functional MRI scan, quickly a sound happens. And then they can understand how the changes from the location of seeing faculty to listening faculty. So they can monitor inside the control room. And now sound disappears, how quickly the mind can come back to see. So they have found 2 stages. He tried to explain. The Buddha explained 4 stages. Buddha explained 4 stages without MRI scan. 2,600 years ago, the first and foremost stage is, I am not mindful. That is called sarati. I am off the track. I am eccentric. That very understanding is the most dramatic thing in our mind. Even though you are in danger, even though you are in the safe land, I am unmindful. Vivarati, but he is looking at it, not regretting. To understand, it's a great opportunity. First I have to understand mindfulness. The second stage, advanced stage is understand unmindfulness red-handed, while you are still in the danger. Earlier you are rushing back to the mindfulness or regretting, and that is how the untrained mind is working. But the trained mind with 1,001 mistakes, 1,001 with interviews and kind of thing, vivarati, he sees, earlier I used to frighten, earlier I used to get regret, earlier I was with attention. Now, main thing is just see things as they are. And then uttani karoti, he understand, earlier when I am getting tense and frustrated, I can't sort it out. Now I can see, naturally, mind is coming back to the primary object. That's the nature of the mind. Mind knows how to come back to its safe land. And then, so you have done the job. But the Buddha says you won't get the credit unless otherwise you report it. While reporting only, the real reinforcement happen, real galvanizing happen. So my common example is, I don't know the dogs here in Australia. When our dogs astray go there, they do something on the way. And if they get missed in the road, they come according to that thing we call urination. They think, you think they are diabetes and they are with always urinating and some kind of a disease. No. They are on the way urinate in spots. And whenever, if you wish to trace back, they come along the smell at home. Earlier the farmers and these farmers of the agricultural and animal husbandry, farmers used to sell the items, and once in a way they go to collect money from the market. So robbers and the how do you call, thugs waiting and hit the fellow and get all money. And then unconscious. So they used to go, farmers used to rear dogs. And dog is just following. And whenever someone is going to damage his master, the dog can feel the adrenaline secretion. And whenever the thug is going to active, dog can jump into that and make the situation advantageous to the farmer. And even the farmer is distracted, the dog knows how to go back home. It has GPS. The GPS is the smell of the urine. So our mind also have that interoception and proprioception and resilience. So these are very good tools, very good inbuilt tools in our mind. If you get distracted and worrying and frustrated, these tools won't work. So now, if you are sharp enough to make use your basic human qualities, they are not something Buddha given. They are not by your teacher is going to give. This is not by a pill or injection or operation. It's inside. So let the mind to go wandering and come back again. So the best example the Buddha given is the boomerang. When you throw a boomerang, it comes back to the source. And if it is hitting somewhere, it falls. So if it is not hitting something, come back to the source. But only the aboriginals know how to harbor the incoming boomerang. You have to have a kind of a touch. Then only you can tackle, you can hold the returning boomerang. So likewise, you must be always ready not to let mind to not to go wandering, not to get distracted, not to be unmindful. Never mind, you are not entertaining and facilitating it. Whenever unmindfulness and distraction and wandering happen, just monitor it by not adding tension, by not adding frustration. Keep the yatha bhuta jnana dasane, see things as they are. And then you can see the mind is naturally coming back, and make sure you have to verify the mind came back to your primary object. That verification is the most important thing in your report. No one is concerned about that. This is my mind went off and came back. And if you ask, how do you know it came back, or it's daydreaming or fantasizing? They are not worrying about that. So it is the duty of the teacher to say, okay, never mind, now we are safe enough. But next time, when the wandering off happened, you have to monitor, it came back your primary object, and it is always give a under the nose sign to say, now mind is back at home, back in the safe land. If you do not know that, you miss the bus. You don't get the benefit. As if you are writing a sentence, you have to put a full stop. Otherwise the sentence is not complete. And if you have finished the chapter, you have to have the beginning sentence and the ending sentence to cover the subject you are going to talk. Otherwise it is open. So our unmindful people, they are talking nonsense. They don't know what they are talking. No communication, no dialogue happens. Not only you are not communicating with others, you are not communicating with oneself also. So oneself communication happens when and where mishap happens. So mishap is a blessing in disguise if you are a vipassana yogi. Otherwise you will ask how to stop wandering mind, how to stop going mind to the sounds and the thoughts and the pains. That if you know, not all the distracting sound and the thoughts and the pain, some mild thoughts, some milder pains, some milder sounds, still you can maintain mindfulness and you can navigate the ship without trouble. So this is how it is happening in a slow motion and in the gradual process, and don't try to be smart. And when it's happening, you can see easily other people can irritate you. Easily you can understand, not easy my pain to irritate me now. Not sounds can irritate me. Not daydreaming and fantasizing irritate me, because you are not worrying about that. Then the inflicting nature of these distractions reducing. It's the underlying principle the Buddha observed. If you are worrying and distracted, they are inflicting too much. Whatever the doctors, whatever the soundproof thing happen, your mind is, vulnerable. No immunity, no personality, no maturity, no resilience. So this is a very good opportunity for us, whenever you install the mindfulness and kind of a momentary concentration, let the mind to play hell. But track it, how it is happening. There is a trend. And the most important thing is, on the way back is always releasing. The third part of your phenomena, arising part and evolution part and the cessation is the nirodha, the third truth of suffering, third truth out of Four Noble Truth. That is what we are avoiding. So here it is slowly opening. Don't worry about the arising of anything. You see the cessation of it. Don't worry about the arising of the in-breath. Just see the cessation of in-breath. Don't worry about the arising of the out-breath. Just see the cessation of out-breath. But you cannot specialize the cessation unless otherwise you know the beginning, the middle and the end. So priority-wise, the ending of the in-breath, ending of the out-breath is the most important. So there was one American guy. He's 103 years old or something like that. Still he is working with computers. He says, I am happy because few days time I will pass away. I am happy to let you know, as far as you are living, don't worry about the figures. How much blood sugar you have, how much the heart rate is happening. It's a doctor's business. Don't worry. Most important thing you have to take care about the just mere breath. How many breath you can account it for. Then you are living. Otherwise you are dreaming. Otherwise you are fantasizing. Otherwise you are in a tension. And the last sentence, even if you are looking at the breath, just see the cessation of the breath. So what a bright insight to see the cessation of breath is the secret. And the Buddha says, wherever you go and fork your fingers into the salt, the sea, salt in taste. Any event, the cessation part is with nirodha, is with liberating, disenchanting taste. Event is different in the arising part. At the cessation part, each and every event is the same. If you are patient enough. For that, you must understand Yathabhuta Jnana Dasana. Under this situation, circumstance, Yathabhuta Jnana Dasana is looking at the event, beginning, the middle and the end, with the equal upekha, equanimity. Don't stop at the arising, don't stop at the evolution part, but wait till it's a cessation. But what happens is, whenever something arises, before that is ceasing, we start with another thing. So we are always looking at the arising part of the life, so it is like burning the candle from both the ends. The Buddha is asking slowly, thin slice of your time, and see one or two cessation part of either experience or any kind of thing. Then you can understand how much you must be mindful, steadfast, and see the chronological change of one single object. Our trap set is not to look at the cessation, but to see each and every arising part. So you are bewildered. You are just like a beast, or you are just like a reptilian. So the day you see cessation, it is the endowment, it's a gift of see things as they are, see the beginning, the middle and the end. So therefore easily we can define mindfulness, easily define vipassana, see the beginning, the middle and the end. So when and where you see it, whatever may be the object, the same thing, the same dependent origination, same mutual, that's to say, mutual dependence, interdependenceness is equal. Of course, in sitting we say, just look at the breath. In walking we say, just see the left and the right. If just see in each and every action, this is a primary object. But primary object is the entrance, that opening. But later you find all the objects are the same. So therefore, whether you are a male or female or learned or not, the day you know the art, wherever you go, you may not be in a meditation center, but you are mindful. You can see all the day. At least you can try. So therefore tomorrow by this time you may back at where? And you say, no, meditation is finished. So I have to go there and see all the newspapers for the last 7 days and see newsreel and see how to get the backlash of all the kind of thing. And then you say, I use in Sinhala kakka. So go and get it. No, even if you go there, even you are standing or wherever maybe, if you keep this mindfulness as such or replace the meditation by mindfulness, then you find being a human, whenever you are with your body, you are always in a full-fledged laboratory and you get the golden opportunity that is called Kshana Sampatti, the opportunity. So I would like to sum up the days to talk today. So maximize this Kshana Sampatti and maintain in a sustainable way. That is the way we can get the highest benefit out of that. With that remark, I would like to sum up. Thank you very much for listening.